everyone, to the 21st Vegan Convergence of the Peoples. And I'm Rebecca Allen, and I'm glad to introduce to you people who are going to be presenting their books. So they're going to be coming online and introduce themselves. And I think they're going to go in alphabetical order. Sailesh, you're back up here again. And I see the rest of them. Thank you so much. We're excited to hear about your new book launches. And let's see, we're missing somebody. I think it's Sailesh. All right, so let's see, who was the first person? That would be Allison, I think, right? Take it away. Oh, Tammy's first. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm unmuting you.
I actually just need you, Rebecca, because my computer's just about ready to die, and I left my charger somewhere. So if you can just put P Pappin on instead of me, and I'm going to shut off my computer.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Welcome everyone to our book launch. I think we're going to just jump right in, but at the end, if we have a few minutes, so this is the Million Vegan Grandmothers time space. And if we have a few minutes at the end, I would like to read the declaration and the pledge of the grandmothers just to remind us why we came together. So, Sailesh, if you would like to bring up I think we did it in alphabetical order, who is reading their book and sharing a little bit about their book coming up.
Yes, it would be Allison first. Allison and Amit.
Yes, Allison and Amit together. Because, Sailesh, when is it that you first published The Pinky Promise?
It was January 2023.
January 2023. Okay. And since then, you've been working on producing a film about that, or based on the book, isn't that right?
Yes, that's a Bollywood film. So it's been completely massaged. It doesn't look like the book anymore, but it started with that. But the idea is still the same. That there is a little girl who gets a promise from an older person. And the older person is desperately trying to meet that promise. And so it's the father-daughter as opposed to grandfather in the story. And it's got, because they said it started with my classmate who is a Bollywood director who read the book and he said, I want to make a movie out of this. And then he said, your character is not interesting. Because you're this wonky fellow who goes around trying to make things happen. No. You need someone flamboyant who is who goes into depression and all kinds of things. So the character has been completely changed. So I don't even recognize the person anymore. but it is a quest kind of thing. So it's about a quest and trying to meet that quest and how difficult it is, and then handing it over to the younger generation at the end. So that's how it happens in the movie. So the story has been written. Now they're talking to some psychiatrists to make sure that the story is okay, it's technically correct. And then they're going to convert that into a screenplay. So I don't know when it will happen. Or if it will happen either. It's just a process we're going through. The idea is to reach the masses as quickly as possible, with the message of urgency.
And you have mentioned on a number of occasions that your friend is totally addressed by the statistics behind the climate. Isn't that right? Isn't that what I've heard from you?
Yeah, he was shocked. He had no idea that there were cooling emissions coming from fossil fuels. So this whole thing seems to be a mystery to a lot of people. And it's been well hidden by the powers that be. And so he's now trying to figure out how to get that urgent message out as quickly as possible. So that's his that's his idea, his motivation behind making this movie.
And Amit and I are here because we have been behind an effort to translate the Pinky Promise into other languages. And I'd like to share my screen and show you where you can find the Pinky Promise in 2 other languages. So give me just a second while I share my screen. Oops, hang on, this is the wrong page. Oh. Now I can share my screen. I'm sorry. I thought I was ready to go. All right, here we are at the Climate Healers website. And if you go to the tab that says For You, there it is. Under there, you'll see books. And there are a number of books here now. You'll see what the book that Sailesh is going to introduce in just a minute. Here's the Pinky Promise. And underneath here on the right, you see download in PDF. That's in English, order on Amazon. And then you see the Pinky Promise in Spanish and the Pinky Promise in Marathi.
Marathi. That's right. Yeah. It's an Indian language.
Let's quickly click on the Spanish so you can see that here we have the book that you can download in Spanish, La Promesa del Meñique, and also you'll see the creator checks in on Planet Earth, Glenn Mercer's play in Spanish. So you can play that and share that link for people also. And going back, I'll just do a quick look, click here on
Pinky Promise in Marathi. Yeah.
So there's where you can find the books. And feel free if you would like to take on the challenge of translating the Pinky Promise or any of the other books, I guess, Sailesh, right, into another language?
Yep. Yeah, everything we do is open source. Do whatever you want with it. If you want us to put it on our website, translate it, then send us the PDF and we'll get it checked out.
Hey, Tammy, who's next?
Thank you. Deborah, would you like to share your book that you've just launched? I think this
Sure.
month, correct?
Well, it's been delayed again. So hopefully the launch will actually be June 4th.
Okay.
It's in interior design, so cover's done, just waiting on that to be completed. The book is called Fear, Food, and Feminine Power. It is a book that does include veganism, but is not specifically about veganism. It is about the emotions, the traumas, and the conditioning that keeps us from being able to make and sustain the changes that we need to make with food. And, it really is like the majority of women report feeling generally unsafe in their skin. And there is just so much, whether it's from their past experiences or the conditioning or ancestral, whatever that might be. And we are quite nourished and self-soothed with food. And so, then we struggle with the body that portrays that struggle, our inner conflicts. And, whether it's through our health and the conditions that we develop with our relationship with food, as a result of our relationship with food and of our bodies, or because of self-image things. And then we have all of the societal messages that compound that, and it just becomes a spiral that so many people loop in. And I've worked with people that, to help to resolve their struggles with food for a long time. And there are just a number of subconscious beliefs that come up that keep people just, even though they know what they need to do and they make the changes, they revert and go back to the comforts and go back to the autopilot. And so it addresses that, and, specifically 5 subconscious belief patterns that run through the psyche that keep us just falling back and falling back and falling back. So it's addressing that, and it introduces a 7-step healing process to take people through. And the reason it's called Food, Fear, and Feminine Power is because underneath so many of our struggles is that inner wisdom, is that inner power. And, it's the parts of us that are being challenged, right? That cause us to go into those loops and into those struggles. But when we go beneath that and we find what's underneath the part that's being challenged, and we give space for that, we give voice for that, we allow that to emerge and to really be embodied and integrated into who we are, right? It's really becoming who you are in order to really stand in your truth, stand in your power, to not be embarrassed or not be, afraid to stand out and be different or any of those things, but to just really own who you are. And it's feminine power because we are in that time of transition with our planet. We are in a transition from, the traditional patriarchal way of doing things, where if we really want to heal and survive, it is the feminine rising that is creating that space and that portal for the humanity to really come through in order to come into a state of unity. And so there's a Native American proverb that says the highest calling of the woman is to lead a man to a soul so as to unite him with source. The highest calling of the man is to protect the woman so she is free to walk the earth unharmed. And if we look at this in terms of collective consciousness, it is the feminine, it is the collective feminine consciousness rising up and really being, holding that space of being. That, the feminine is that state of connection, that state of, connection with source, with the deepest inner wisdom and truth, that which connects us with all that is, right? We're not separate from earth. We are the earth. We are a part of the earth. Every fiber of our being is interwoven into the web of life that is a part of this planet. So, every part of that is, that is a part of who we are. And as long as we live in separation from that, that is what's causing, as Sailesh mentioned on the previous presentation, it's like our separation from who we are, our separation from Earth is what's causing the sickness on the planet, right? It's the human beings that make these diversions from the natural law and the natural order that are causing sickness of the humans, sickness of the animals, sickness of the planet. So it's us that needs to make the transformation. So that's what this book is about. And it's about doing it through healing our wounds, bringing that, connecting with the feminine power and embodying that in a very integrated way that can then bring about change for the planet. So again, that's fear, food, and feminine power. And Renee, you asked for that proverb again. That is I believe a Cherokee proverb that says, I can tell you the whole thing. It says the highest calling of the woman is to lead a man to his soul so as to unite him with source. The lowest calling of the woman is to seduce, leading him astray and leaving him wandering. The highest calling of the man is to protect the woman so she is free to walk the earth unharmed. The lowest calling of the man is to ambush and force his way into the life and cause her harm. So that's the full proverb. And if you look at just the collective of humanity, we have been for a long time living in the lower expression, not just in male-female relationships, but in pretty much every aspect of life for the most part. And that's what's brought the harm to the planet. We're living in the lower expression as opposed to the higher expression. So the mission of the book is really to like reframe our stories and heal our wounds so that we can move to living in that higher expression, come to a place of unity and really being the stewards of the earth that we're here to be.
Thank you so much. So much, Deborah. You know, it reminds me a lot of the work, you know, so many women were told, you know, who are you? You know, who are you to? And the answer is, who am I not to be? Who am I not to be? And I love this piece you're bringing forth is that sometimes we're suppressing our greatness, our inherited gifts with food.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Renee, thank you for being here. Oh, you're still muted.
Okay, there it is. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you again for inviting me to come on here today. I wish I could have been here all day. And I just loved listening to you, Deborah, about your book. I can't wait to read it. Yeah, I can't wait to read that. Sounds amazing. I am presently on the tail end of completing all the final edits in a somewhere around 70,000 word manuscript that I've written over the last 5 years. It's a memoir of the Rowdy Girl story, and the working title is Secret Diary of a Cattle Rancher's Wife. Rowdy Girl, The Secret Diary of a Cattle Rancher's Wife. Hoping it stays there. I am honored to announce that Bloomsbury has picked up my book. Bloomsbury Publishing, it's a world-class publisher. They published all the Harry Potter books. So having them as our publisher is extremely exciting. And at the same time, I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know. It's been a very it's been a very difficult season because so much is expected of me this past 6 months to get the manuscript ready for a publisher such as this. So I've had to hire a book coach. I've had another editor come in. I have an agent. Her name is Amy McConnell, and she is amazing. I actually met her through our friend Cameron Waters, and it's been the most thrilling and also fearful part of my life because my story embodies addiction from alcohol, drugs, and also eating animal flesh. And the book, it's interesting how the book came about. And y'all know my story pretty much, everyone on here. And if you don't, rowdygirlsanctuary.org is our website. But to go from a cattle rancher to a vegan in Texas created quite a metamorphosis inside of me. I was always a spiritual girl. I was always leaning into yoga, meditation, even studied ahimsa one time, but I never grasped what it meant to live ahimsa until I went vegan on a cattle ranch. And then it and in the process of all of these years, I struggled with alcohol and drug abuse. And I believe it's so deep because the feminine is so suppressed. So when our power starts to rise And if we're not acknowledged by the men in our life, the easy way out is to not feel that power. And this book embodies the power that came through after my last, I got sober January the 8th, 2013. But I struggled for years to get sober and stay sober. So if you can imagine, January the 8th, 2013, I get sober. And October 31st, 2014, I go vegan. And it was just a short amount of time. And the reason I was able to go vegan is because for the first time in my life, I embraced what it meant to be true to myself, to not be true to what the world was telling me to do, what a man was telling me to do, what my family was telling me to do. For the first time in my life, I became true to what was emanating from within me, deep into the core of who I am. And I did that on a cattle ranch. So here I am finally sober. You know, my mind is clear. I'm starting to like understand, what the way the wind blows. And all of a sudden I'm falling in love with cows. And and coming home to tell my husband all about it. And he's telling me I'm crazy. And there's this instinct that wants to go back in and get drunk or get high, so I don't have to feel that. But instead, I kept doing whatever I had to do to not only stay sober, but to embrace who the heck I am and what I'm here to do. And that led me to ripping open that place inside of me that I was never able to go to before. And that was who I am at my core, who I've always been, was a vegan. I've always been that girl that loved animals and I ate them. So when I finally saw it and I felt it, the book started writing me. And the book is everyone that has read my book in my circle of my editors and my coach and my agent, everyone says the same thing. There's not been a book that they've read that really embodies and intertwines recovery from alcohol and drugs with recovery from animals on a cattle ranch, and doing it this way. I weave it all in. And it's just because it feels normal to weave it all in that way. I didn't know it was going to happen that way. It's a soul journey. It's incredibly gripping. It's painful and hilarious at the same time. So I'm excited that the Bloomsbury team, everybody in the whole team, when they got the manuscript, the proposal, there was not one thumbs down. Everyone was thumbs up. And so, a lot of publishers turned it down, but Bloomsbury embraced it. And I am excited about that idea because, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, all the publishers, turned her down and Bloomsbury said yes. So, you just never know what a story like Rowdy Girl the cow is. That's my boss, is Rowdy Girl. And she's who I listen to. And there's a power coming through that girl that is much greater than any power I have ever experienced. Like, for instance, yesterday at our volunteer day, I'm talking about the book. We're there at the sanctuary where there's people all over in the volunteer day. We're having our lunch. And Rowdy Girl never comes out of her corral, out of the pasture, into the area where the sanctuary house is. She never does that. I mean, she has never, ever done that since we've been at this new location since 2019. When I was talking about the book, talking about all the things, my alcohol abuse, the recovery from eating animals, all this. Rowdy Girl comes barreling up right beside me and stops and was part of the action. That is what Rowdy Girl does. And she's done this on more occasions. I was just like, oh, there she is. It's because Rowdy Girl speaks to me when I'm sleeping. She speaks to me right here, and she's going to speak to the world now. So I'm excited that y'all asked me to come on here, and the manuscript is due May 30th, so it's coming up. I meet with my coach again tonight, 6 o'clock. I'm meeting with her 8 to 9 hours a week right now. It's like pounding, to get all this done because she's expanding scenes. They're making sure that everything is, as good as it can be. And so I meet with her. The manuscript is due May 30th. And from what I know so far, it will be released spring of 2026. And when I think about, what Dr. Rao has always said about, a vegan world by 2026, I can't help but think that Rowdy Girl timed the release in the spring of 2026. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Renee. You're always such an inspiration. And your story about your heartfelt living, you live it. You live the journey in a really honest and integral way. So thank you so much for that, being the living example, always upgrading and growing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sailesh?
Can I add something to what Renee said,
Yes.
or just a comment? Renee, there was a time in my life where I was a very heavy drinker, and when I decided I wanted to go vegan, when I was hungover was when I had the hardest time refraining from animal products, because there was that craving in me that I needed the grease, I needed the fat, and it was the biggest struggle. And I remember just making that decision of, well, if I want to go vegan, I have to stop drinking. And, it was like the two cannot coexist in my body. And I had to make that commitment at that time. So I love your story. I cannot wait to see the movie. Did you say it's going to be a movie? It's going to be a movie. I can't wait.
Just so you know, there is a movie being written. It's just like Sailesh said, I don't know when or what, but I have a feeling once the book comes out that the demand will be greater, because I don't think Rowdy Girl is going to stop until it's done. So uh, she's working overtime through me. So yeah.
You're muted, Tammy.
Sailesh, would you like to share next on There Is a Planet B?
Well, thank you, Tammy. Thank you, everyone. This book was an accident almost, because I wasn't intending to write a book. I had just finished teaching the course on the greatest transformation in human history last year. And I was at the Oxford Literary Festival as a guest of Marlene Watson-Tara. And after the closing banquet, the organizer of the festival, she came to me and she said, I would like to invite you to come next year and present at the Oxford Literary Festival. I said, okay, I'm happy to do that. And I said, I've already written a book called The Pinky Promise. I would love to come and talk about it. He said, no, write another book. He said, if you write another book, what would the title be? And I blurted out, There Is a Planet B. I don't know where it came from. It just said, there is a planet B. She said, done. That's it. That's the book I want. And then it struck me, my God, I have to write a book by next year. It's like, this is not easy. And I know I wrote Carbon Dharma in 11 months, right after I came to see um, Kimaya when she was born. I came to see her when she was a month old. So it's probably December end, I came to see her. And then I went back home and I started writing Carbon Dharma. And it was released October 31st. So I knew I could do it. October 31st of 2011, just 10 months later. Okay, so I said, all right, I'll take it as a challenge. And then I decided to make that the textbook for the course. So it has all the details that you need to know for the course. And the course is intended for ordinary people. So I wanted it to be like a 9th grade level book for a 9th grade level course. So that's what it is. And it basically talks about the planet that we are working on. So the world that we are working on at Climate Healers, a climate healing world, is planet B. It looks very different from the world that we are used to, which is a climate heating world. That's planet A. So planet A, to me, is a planet where you are playing a game of deception and domination. So it's a game in which you're trying to see who's the winner. Who's the winner? And so the winner will be the most deceptive among us all and the most dominant among us all. And that's where I believe the world is spiraling towards, the current world. This is why it's becoming more and more fascistic, if that is a word. And it's more and more authoritarian. And people are trying to figure out their bunker, that they'll survive, whereas the rest of us are going to disappear. So that's the mindset, right? Because it's a world of competition to see who's going to win, who's going to lose. And simultaneously, we're building this transformation to a world in which everyone thrives. That's the climate healing world. That's planet B. So it was a riff because I had just read Mike Berners-Lee's book called There Is No Planet B, which is a book full of facts about what we are doing to the planet and why we have to take care of this planet, because there is no other planet to go to. Despite what Elon Musk may tell you, that there is another planet to go to. And so it was a riff on that. And I even met Mike Berners-Lee at this Oxford Literary Festival. He was releasing another book. And I told him I'm going to release a book called There Is a Planet B. And he said, wow, okay, can I write on my book that there really isn't a planet B? And I said, sure, write it. So that's how he endorsed his book to me. There really isn't a planet B. But what I'm saying is there is a planet B. That's the idea behind the book. There is a planet that we are already working on that is rising out of the ashes of the old. This is the transformation that's happening. And that's what we have been talking about during this convergence. And that's just what we're going to be working on. We have been working on for the last 20 convergences. Yeah.
And Sailesh, can I quickly share my screen again and show where they can order the book?
Oh, sure.
Okay, I'll do that quickly. Now I know right where it is, so. All right. So this is the Climate Healers website under For You books, and there it is. So there's a description of it, and you can order it on Amazon or you can download it in PDF.
Interior PDF. So I'm dissatisfied with that because I think there is a lot of symbolism to actually reversing the cover so that you have to read it like this, because that's the way I got it printed at Oxford. So it's reversed. But Amazon apparently has a lot of bots running the printing process, and the bots would get very confused if the cover is reversed. So I straightened it out to be on Amazon when I'm looking for a publisher that would do it right.
And Sailesh, do you happen to have a copy there so you can show us what it looks like when you're reading it?
Yeah. So here is the book. This is the copy that I printed at Oxford. So, and the cover of the book has a poem that basically says, animal agriculture is the leading cause of climate change, and we don't believe rapidly phasing down fossil fuel use should be a top priority, because the reality is we have been misled by the UN IPCC. So don't tell us that we have run out of solutions. On Planet A, we have been reading this from the bottom up. When you read it from the bottom up, it says, we have run out of solutions. So don't tell us that we have been misled by the UN IPCC, because the reality is rapidly phasing down fossil fuel use should be a top priority. And we don't believe anyone who says animal agriculture is the leading cause of climate change, which is Planet A. Okay? Planet A has been set up like that. So we got that on the front of the book, the cover of the book. And the cover was designed by Mark Hurst of The Chase. And he basically got Planet B upside down, which at least they didn't complain about that at Amazon. And the back of the book, there is the description of the book, and then a short bio of me, and the Climate Healers logo and the ISBN. And then there's a quote from Glenn Mercer, which is reversed, which you have to read upside down. And it says, the world is not such a terrible place as long as you look at it wrong. Glenn Mercer. He wrote it in one of his plays. So this is why the book has to be read upside down. Because if you read the book, if you look at the world upside down, there's nothing wrong with it. That's Planet B. Now, Amazon is insisting that I have to open it like this, so the interior is, so it's not reversed. I have to now look for some printers who would do it or publishers who would do it for me, that the right way.
Yeah, the upside down way.
Yeah, that's the right way, the upside down way. Because there's symbolism to that upside down way. And everyone loved it, at the Oxford Literary Festival. Everyone loved the idea. And it's to me, it's a pity that the main, Amazon is a monopoly. You cannot get anywhere without them. And at least for self-publishing.
Mhm.
And self-publishing, I choose that because it's faster. When you go through a publisher, it takes time for them to release the book. But anyway, for self-publishing, Amazon has allowed us to self-publish in the past. But we're doing this reversal.
Hmm.
Anyway, Amit wants to share a video of Planet B from Oxford. Yeah, welcome to.
Sailesh, when I was studying with Dr. Gabriel Cousins, he used to say that he called his school the culture of life, as opposed to the culture of death that we're living in.
Mhm.
And that when things get so upside down and backwards, they would seem normal. And then normal, what is actually right, would feel radical
Right.
and on the fringe. And so, yeah, that's what's happening. Great. Is it my turn?
Amit said he wanted to share a short
Oh, sure.
video of the
Yeah.
Planet B release from Oxford.
Great.
Okay, he put the link in the chat.
Yeah, I could share my screen as well, but it's a 1 hour video.
Oh, no, I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for those who missed the launch of the book at Oxford, so you'll get a fair enough idea how the setting was, how the environment was, what kind of questions were asked when the book was launched, and the enthusiasm. And also Vega was present. Vega the cow was present in the audience as well. So
Yeah.
it's a fun to watch video. Yeah.
Yeah, we put Bigger the Cow in this setting that was from a Harry Potter movie, literally. It's like it's the Oxford University's convocation hall, Bodleian Convocation Hall.
Okay. Is he going to start it?
Oh no, I
No,
think
no. Yeah, he put the link in the chat for everybody to watch. Go ahead, Tammy.
Well, thank you. Thank you. This is a great book launch. You know, it's amazing that we're coming together and sharing all these different ways that we're showing up in our divine essence. And the book that I wrote with a lot of help from my beloved partner, Paul Papin, is The Essence of Sacred Relationships. And the theme through all of this has been sacred relationships. And I mentioned to you in my book, Renee, about that a lot of us, the very first time we're truly witnessed and awoken, it is not often with a human. Some people it's with a human, often a grandchild, maybe a child, and often it's in the other world, like Jordi Casamajano. It was a wasp, and Renee, you know, Rowdy Girl, and many of us. So my book is called The Essence of Sacred Relationships. It'll be available probably the beginning of June. So I'm just going to I'm going to read a quote from it, and then I'm just going to share a little bit. To truly see and free others, we must look beyond their past and even their present, seeing them as they have the power to become, while radically accepting who they are in the moment. This ability to hold both vision and presence is the heart of sacred relationship. So the summary of The Essence of Sacred Relationship, and the subtitle is Spiraling Towards Divine Union and Compassionate Service. It explores the transformation powers of sacred relationships and highlighting their roles in fostering deeper connections. Spiritual growth. So it's using sacred relationships as a vehicle for spiritual growth, however they're showing up, whether they're triggering us and showing us what we may have still in our shadow, or whether they're reflecting our light and our beauty and what's being called forth. So they highlight this deep connection through healing, not just within couples, but families and communities, and sacred relationships with the animals and Great Mother Earth herself, as we hear so often that we are Earth. And then once we know this, we act accordingly. So then we take this sacredness and we extend it into the broader communal and even planetary healing. And that's what this book does. It encourages readers to embrace their role in collective well-being, to hold each other in our true essence of who we're becoming, this human becoming, and into this world of planet B, into seeing our power and the feminine rise of the earth. And throughout it, I share a lot of poetry, because there's different ways that we are able to get closest to our heart, you know, music, poetry, animals, walking barefoot in the earth. For me, swimming natural in cold mountain lakes. The book also recognizes the barriers as opportunities. And as the sages often say, what is in the way is the way. By applying teachings from various spiritual traditions in this book, I'm integrating the principles primarily of spiral dynamics and other compassionate ways of communicating and deep holistic self-care, which I really am thrilled that Renee has kind of entered deeper into that whole piece on sacred self-care in the raw food industry. So thank you, not industry, but in the raw food world of sacredness, as I studied that for many years. This book also offers a glimpse into my own sacred relationships and its barriers. So I think sometimes teaching very anecdotally and sharing our vulnerability and our truth. I mean, relationship we're all in relationship all the time. Whether we know it or not, we're in relationship all the time. And, offering transcendent ways to not allow ourselves to feel like we're falling short, right? I had a friend contact me recently who was being very hard on herself for something she felt that she fell short on. And I'm like, oh, I just wanted to hold her. And when we become that essence, sorry, I'm feeling really emotional. Thank you for being here. When we become that essence, where that Rumi talks about, out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field and I will find you there, right? And in order to do that, in order to really connect with another being and see them in their essence, even when they're having a meltdown, even when they're not able to see themselves, it means that we have entered something within ourselves. We have opened up that sacred wound and took a deep look inside of that. And that is the essence of sacred relationship. And finally, this book offers a reader's journey style, questions and reflections. So I have a journal at the end for both men and women. And it's intended to serve as a spiritual guidebook for healing our past wounds that are not only personally fulfilling, like our past wounds, they're personally fulfilling. What a way to look at our sacred relationships. But they also contribute to an ever-widening spiral, to the healing and the honoring and the service of us all. So chapter 1 in this book starts out to talk about the self at the center of the spiral. As activists, we often forget to put ourselves and to spiral back in to ourselves at the center of the spiral. And Dr. Cousins had a quote I often referred to. He says, to see the divine spark in others, we must first see it in ourselves. This is the fundamental beginning place. How do we do that? We do it through sacred relationship, through the reflections, through the push, pull, struggle that we often judge in others and ourselves. And what if something opens up and we're able to see that struggle is sacred? Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful? So when we first step into the spiral path of sacred living, it begins with one powerful truth, that we're nature, nature's sacred, therefore we're sacred. And that same life force that unfurls pussy willows into spring pulses through our heart is the same sacredness of all life. There's no separation. And yet for many of us, seeing our own life as sacred, truly feeling it, can feel very uncomfortable. And a wise teacher used to say to me, ask yourself often, is what I'm doing right now is what someone who loves himself would do? And when we really pause with this question, we're brought back to the land of the courageous and free, the child within us who once danced barefoot in puddles and laughed freely when something didn't feel right, or cried freely when something didn't feel right. But why is the simple return to self-love so difficult for many of us? That's the question in adulthood. Why do we, I watch my granddaughter and she'll do something wrong or she'll have a fight with her brother and it's over. You watch a confrontation with animals, they shake it off, it's over. It's because we take a big breath in, we go into the sympathetic state and we freeze. We've been taught to freeze instead of shake it off and cry and release, and we stuff it down, as Deborah had said, But sacredness, we learn again, we relearn, we reparent ourselves into caring for ourselves to honor the web of life that we're part of. When I was, and I talk about this in my book, when I was 6 years old, my mother left our family, and I learned very early on that in order to help my grieving father, I could take care of him. it made him feel relieved to come home if I had food for him. And this has become my greatest strength and my greatest challenge, because it was easy for me to take care of people and much harder for me to learn to take care of myself. So I want to leave you with just a poem. I have lots more that I would like to share. There's a huge section on self-love, and I take some of my protocols from my Heal protocol, and also from my book, Sacred Sovereignty, The Infinity Path to Heal. There's poetry throughout. So I would like to end with a poem I wrote in the area on the sacred relationship that activists have in their journey. And I was writing a blog for International Calf and Cow Mother's Day that we're going to be bringing forth into the world. And I was thinking about the sacred relationship with my child, and who brought two of my sacredest relationships to the world, my two gorgeous grandchildren. And I wrote this, so I will end with this, so we have a few minutes for questions. She wandered through her memories, baby suckling on her breast, her most tender memories of this life, until her grandchildren were born. She knew less then about other baby animals and all the newborns that could never suckle because their children ate cheese and coffee had cream. And oh yes, that constant children's pleas for summer ice cream. She did not know, and once she did, she could not unknow. And the heaviness of carrying the knowing, and the throwing of caution to the wind, of sharing this with her own grown daughter, feeding her offspring this unsuckled stuff, and the trampling of pearls and the unfurls of knowing without space, with nowhere to go. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. And thank you for letting me get emotional. Writing this book with my beloved partner the last year has been very healing for our relationship. And it's really been very healing for all of my relationships. I no longer give my daughter any solicited advice, and she's coming back to me and sharing a lot more stuff with me. And it's because in a deeper way, I've let myself off the hook so I can do the same for other people. Thank you. We'll open it up if there's any questions or comments.
Tammy, you're getting lots of love out here. That's what we're noticing. And not just you, but the whole book launch. But yeah, there's love and thank yous. Yeah. I don't see any other questions. Maybe somebody has a question. I guess one of the questions that might come up is when it's taken a long time, do you find that the book changes? You know, and so if somebody would like to comment on how that happens, how it flows.
Right. I just want to say that I've told Paul that I wanted to re-edit it and edit it and edit it. He's like, that's another time and place, because you can just keep going and going and going, especially when you're talking about something about growth and the power of sacred relationships, because we're evolving so quickly right now as a species. Once we say, okay, I'm in. Yeah.
I was just going to say that I've watched my book definitely evolve. When I first started writing it, over 4 years ago, I had ghostwriters trying to help me, and Jane Velez Mitchell heard every chapter I wrote. She's the one that gave me the courage and the permission to just keep going. And she was my muse, and still is. But anyway, it has evolved. It's also incorporating all the abuse you know, the addictions and all of the sexual abuse and trauma, and it all intertwines and relates to the animals, and how that sacred wound, how that wounding was sacred because it has become my greatest treasure. And so I really related to you, Tammy. So thank you. It's interesting how the book evolves if you just keep, like, I almost self-published 2.5 years ago. I wanted it out so bad, and I had some good coaching, and they were just like, Renee, this book, it's you just stay with us, because the evolution of what has happened as a result it takes my breath away. And so yeah, it definitely evolves. You got to be careful to keep it reined in, that people don't own your book. That's been really a big part of it, and I haven't let that happen. But I've also had to have a lot of willingness to take very good advice, as long as I knew that I was surrounded by the right people.
I can speak to that as well. When I started my book 8 years ago, and then shortly after was when I moved into my father's home, when my father's health was, at that time, he was told he would have 1 year to live, and he's still here at 102. Thank you for the diet, but diet contributes a lot to that. I'd love to talk about that sometime. But when I came here, it was about 30,000 words, and I was thinking, okay. And over the years, with just like more unpacking of kind of, you know, being in my childhood bedroom again and remembering my father owned a bakery, and I, you know, had, yes, trauma, childhood trauma, and sugar addiction and alcohol and drugs and everything. And it just like, as things kept unfolding and just, you know, more insights and insights. It's at 83,000 words now. And so it's definitely evolved. And it's also, you know, as Tammy said, we're evolving so rapidly as a species, and as we're, you know, really coming to the place that I spoke about with the feminine rising and the masculine needing to really, you know, it's really needing to hold that portal to bring humanity into a state of unity where we can live in harmony with the planet. It's just like, yeah, as we continue to evolve, I could probably work on it another 10 years, but we don't have that much time, do we, Sailesh? We got 2026.
Very good.
So at some point, you got to put a period at the end.
I see that we do have a couple of questions, but we have a minute left. So what shall we do? If they can be short, let's see if that's okay with our next speaker. Okay, make it quick, please. Caller.
I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Question. Have you ever heard of Abu al-Ma'ari? He's the first vegan. He lived in Aleppo in the year 1000 AD. He wrote a poem called I No Longer Steal from Nature. And I mean, this is like, if you can imagine, in the year 1000, he not only, it's a poem, he wouldn't steal the milk, the cow, that was intended for the cow's calf, but also wouldn't eat honey. He was a radical vegan in the year 1000 in Aleppo. Ever heard of this man?
Yes, I have. It's a first vegan poet. It's a beautiful, beautiful poem, and we'll get some
Yeah,
of
and
it
it's not,
in the chat.
you could read that poem. It'll only take a minute to read the poem, and it's the first vegan in the history of the world.
Right. It's just amazing. Okay, so let's see if we can squeeze that in sometime today, because we do have an open mic section also. Maybe you would like to, but we will.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try to get one Dr. Heister in, and then see Donna's ready to go.
Unmute. I was so moved by this book launch. I have written a book myself and I know how difficult it is. So thank you very much, everyone, for making it through the process and getting your book published. I would like to know, how are you going to celebrate yourself once your book has launched and is being published? What are you going to do to celebrate yourself?
I'm holding up Dr. Heister's book.
Oh, thank you, Sailesh. Yeah,
I'm going to go visit Anya and we're going to go hang out at the Earth ship.
that's right. That's the plan, Tammy. I'm so looking forward to this.
All right. Well, it's a beautiful idea of celebrating. And it looks like
What about you, Renee
You give me a lot
or
to think
Deborah?
about. I haven't even thought about celebrating.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably already had that thought in your mind. That question was probably already answered because when you're in it as deep as I know I've been in it, it's almost like I've never had any children, physical children. I've got cows and chickens and, I got all kind of animal kids. But birthing this book has been, talk about a labor pains that go on and on and on and on and on. And so once I have this book and it's out of me and into the world, I know I need to celebrate. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but you've given me a lot to think about and I will. Thank you. Maybe
Good.
you
Yeah.
can reach out to me by email and help me ignite some great plan.
No, it's probably okay that you don't know yet, but maybe it's important that you will celebrate yourself once it's done, however you like, Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you. Does anybody else want to comment?
Anya, can you tell us what you did to celebrate?
What did I do? That's a good question. I don't think I did anything special. Maybe I should go on vacation. Maybe I should treat myself to a trip to Canada to visit Tammy.
Yes, our next VCOP may just be in Canada also.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that wonderful question. I'm so glad that you all got a chance to share and that we got a chance to hear from you. It was very moving. And I look forward to reading them, as many as I can. Thank you.